Yeah, Prem. Are you able to see your cover letter?
Yes, I can see
Yeah,
the cover
okay,
letter.
fine, fine. Can you give me your profile overview?
Yeah, sure. First off, thank you for the opportunity. Uh, Actually, I'm based in Chennai location, having overall 2.6 years of diverse experience, including 2 years of dedicated experience in business analyst. And to talk about my educational background or qualification, I have completed my bachelor's degrees from Satyagraya College, affiliated with University of Madras, graduating in 2018. My studies have provided me the strong foundation in analytical and problem-solving skills, which I can apply in my professional life. And additionally, I did the IT Business Analyst certification from IIBA to enhance my understanding in business processes and requirement. And I have worked on two methodologies in my projects, which is traditional waterfall and agile methodology. And also, I have experience on Power BI and SQL for data analysis, Tableau for data visualization, and I design the diagrams and prototypes with MS Visio, Balsamiq, and Azure RP to ensure clear communications and collaboration. And in my last company, I simplify the requirement gathering process with standardized templates and workshops, which reduced the revisions by 30% and improve the overall project efficiency. I'm open to work on any opportunities and looking forward to leveraging my skill in challenging environment. I think this is all something I had interesting about me to share.
Okay. Mm. So, what is the difference between the waterfall and agile? Why did we call it is a traditional method as an waterfall?
Yeah, so basically, when we talk about the waterfall methodology, it's like a real-time waterfall. So it cannot go back, top from the bottom. In the same way, once the requirement gathering is completed, then we move on to the requirement analysis stage. So once we moved on the requirement analysis stage, we cannot go back because it cannot go back to the previous stage. That is why it is called waterfall methodology. So waterfall is a not flexible one because if we receive any changes during the project, it is very hard to change. Whereas agile is a very flexible one. We can change the requirement during the project itself. And waterfall is a sequential and linear approach, whereas agile is an iterable approach. So every 2 weeks, we deliver some deliverables to the client, and the client will start using it. And waterfall me, what we'll do is we will it will entirely deliver the project in the single goal. So during the waterfall, the client involvement is very, very less. Whereas agile, the throughout the project, we have the client involvement. And for example, if the functionalities or the cost or everything resources are fixed, then we go with the waterfall methodology. If it is everything is predefined, but if it is any request, then so in agile, coding and testing will happen parallelly. Whereas waterfall, once the development phase is completed, then only move on to the coding phase. This is what the major difference between agile and waterfall methodology.
Mm-hmm. But why we can we call it as an traditional method for the waterfall?
waterfall is a old methodology. First, what we followed in our first stage, because methodology, let's say in the SDLC, we have four main methodologies. That is sequential, evolutionary, iterative, and agile. So sequential is nothing but waterfall methodology only, because we it will deliver the entire project in a single goal. That is the like everything is happen one by one. Once the requirement gathering is completed, then only move on to the requirement gathering stage, then only at the coding stage, then only the testing phase, designing stage, like that. So I believe this is why we call the traditional methodology. But please, sir, if I provide you the wrong answer, please give me the right answer, then I will note it.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm wrong, please give me the right answer, so it will be very useful for me.
So the sequential means, right?
Yeah, it is a sequential.
Sequential means so after getting all the requirements with completely, yes, then only we can start that waterfall method starting without getting any change request in the middle of that project, right?
Yeah, exactly. So is that the reason we call it as traditional methodology? Sanjay Babu?
Hello, my voice is clear now. Yeah. So because it's in a linear
Yes,
and
sequential and linear approach it is.
yeah, and it doesn't allocated for the flexibility
Yeah, exactly.
and project rigid also.
Project?
Project rigid like
This.
extension of whatever it will be possible for the most probable projects also like with mm, multitaskable projects like and
Oh,
yeah, so that it is called a traditional method. It doesn't allow the flexibilities, adaptabilities more than that, and it is very not allocating that whatever it changes.
yeah, it's hard to
These are the
change.
reasons for main for the traditional methods like this. There is no
Yeah,
other
yeah.
reasons for calling that traditional. That is
Yes, yes, because I believe I provide that answer only you asked.
yeah, yeah. Okay. Mm. So, what type of illustration techniques did you use throughout your project to gather the requirements from the stakeholders?
Yes, sir. So in my last project, I have used stakeholder interviews, workshops, observations, prototype, and document analysis. So these are the elicitation technique I have used in my last project. So coming to document analysis is nothing but reading any document and understand about the process, project, and product, that we call it as document analysis. For example, if any conversation will happening through the important stakeholders, so there is a high chance we will get the requirement in the email itself. Sometimes we will get the requirement in the mom itself. So reading any text and understand about the process, project, and product, that we call it as document analysis. It's a kind of elicitation technique. And interviews. Interviews is nothing but talk about the other person point of view about the particular concept. Basically, I conduct the interview when I observe when I observe conflict within the requirement. So once I observe the conflict within the requirement, then I talk to the stakeholders to resolve the conflicts during the call itself. So to applying that interview elicitation technique, I use two approaches, that is structure approach and unstructured approach. Structure approach is nothing but I'm asking the one by one question to the stakeholder, and once I get the answer, I will note down the answer. This is a structure approach. Whereas unstructured approach means I will randomly ask the question based on the client answer, last answer. Sorry for the background noise, sir, because my house is near in the railway station.
Okay, okay, fine, fine.
Yeah. So to asking the question to the stakeholders, that is two types of questions are there. One is open-ended question. Second one is closed-ended question. Open-ended question means some explanation will require, whereas closed-ended question, it's a kind of yes or no question. And workshops. Workshops is more practical in nature. The way we get the complete information from the requirement. For example, if my client has 10 departments, then when I'm in the sorting of the requirement, I really confused which requirement is for which department. For that case, I conduct or I request a workshop for each requirement, each department. For that, I can easily understand what input they are going to take and what output they are going to generate. That is the beauty of workshop. And prototype is nothing but even the flow chart and the activity diagram is also considered to be a prototype only, because where we get the relevant information from the project. So we take input as a activity diagram and flowchart diagram and give output as like how the application will look like in a real time. So using the system functionalities and the user interface, that is the main motto of the show prototype. We will show the sample of the working model to the client. It starts from the client reference itself. So coming to observation, there are two types of observation with that. One is active observation, another one is passive observation. So active observation, which means I will ask the client and the client will give the answer. That is an active observation. Passive observation means without asking any question, I just only observe them. That is passive observation. So as a business analyst, I always do passive observation because our client have that business, they run their business. So we do not interrupt them. So if they give that opportunity to ask the question, then definitely I utilize the active observation. That's it.
Okay. So throughout your project, what type of software tools do you have used?
So in my last project, I followed agile methodology in my last project. So I use project management tool Jira and the data analyst tool Power BI and SQL. And also I have an hands-on experience on Tableau, not into the project. I learned it from my own interest. So these are the tools I used to gather the insights from the data. Like using the Power BI, it is nothing but a business intelligence tool. So using the Power BI, we can generate the dashboards, dashboards and the reports. Like as a business analyst, if I want to know the progress of the project, then I just prepare one sample report and I share that report to the client as well. Client also easily understand the progress of the project. This is how I have used Power BI in my project. So basically, it is called as a reporting tool, and also it is called as an analytical tool. The reason is Power BI, using the Power BI, we can generate the dashboards and report with the help of data. And we can understand the KPIs using Power BI, key performance indicator. And with the help of data, the company will use to take the right decision within the organization. Also, Power BI, we can use it for the future predictions as well within the organization. And like Jira is nothing but a project management tool. Like using Jira, I can manage the project, product backlog, and sprint backlog using Jira only. So I can easily understand if the project is going accordingly or not. And I can track the user stories. Everything I can perform in Jira itself. Every project management activities. So, and SQL is nothing but structure query language. Like it is a powerful tool to enable us uh, to make a communication with the data. So it allows us to perform such actions like update, retrieve, manipulate in the database. So basic, hello?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
So basically, SQL is used to manage the data in the relational database management system. So as a business analyst, I use SQL to just view the data. Based on the data, I will I will create one report with the help of reporting tools such as Power BI and Tableau with the permissions of database administrator. And also, I use SQL to not interact, extract the information from the data itself. So this is how I used my tools in my last project, and also I use MS Visio, Balsamiq, and Azure RP. Like using the MS Visio, I can create the UML diagrams such as use case diagrams, activity diagram, flow charts like that. And Azure RP and Balsamiq, I used to create the user interface like mobile. We can create the mobile desktop like that. We can create the user interface using Power BI, using Balsamiq and Azure RP. But the difference between the Azure RP and Balsamiq is Balsamiq is a static presentation. Azure is a it is a highly we can create the highly interactive prototype. So with the screen navigation, so that is the main difference between Azure and Balsamiq. So the both tools, using the both tools, we can create mockups and wireframes prototypes.
yeah. Azure is the most dynamic. Like if you give any content, it will take and it will redirect into that screens like this.
Yes.
Yeah. And what is the project life cycle? How do you handle the scope creep?
Okay. So project lifecycle is nothing but initially we start with the pre-project activity where the enterprise analysis will be happening there. So enterprise analysis is nothing but SWOT analysis, gap analysis, feasibility study, so root cause analysis like that. Once we done with the pre-project activity, then we move on to the planning stage. So in the planning stage, before the project kick off, our senior team will understand the client business rules, business logic, business goals as well. Then we plan the packages of the project. We divide them into small packages, and we understand the project plan from the project manager, and we conduct a stakeholder analysis. So everything is given through BA approach strategy, like what the communication channels we are going to use, what kind of elitization technique we are going to use in the particular project. Everything is given through BA approach strategy. So then only move on to the requirement gathering stage. So in the requirement gathering stage, initially we will conduct either ILS approach or RACI matrix. So like using that, we can easily understand the project stakeholders and their roles and responsibilities. Once we did it, then we use the elicitation technique to gather the requirement from the client side. So once we gather the requirement from the client side, then we're sorting the requirement, which means sorting the requirement means logically rearranging the requirement in such a way. It eliminates the duplicates, only the unique requirement will remain. So sometimes this phase is also called as defining the requirement. So once I done with this sort the requirement, then I validate the requirement. Sorry, first I prioritize the requirement using Moscow technique, and I validate the requirement using FERBS technique. Like Moscow stands for must, should, could, would, and FERBS stands for functionality, usability, reliability, performance, and supportability. And then I check the smartness of the requirement. That stands for specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time bound. Once I complete all those evaluation, then I prepare the BRD, like a second level of BRD, and get the sign off from the client side. Once the requirement gathering is completed, then I move on to the requirement analysis stage. So in the requirement analysis stage, where we can create the diagrams, like use case diagrams, activity diagrams, by using the functional requirement. And also, like we create the functional requirement in this stage from the business requirement and write it in the document in the form of functional specification. And the technical team will work on the non-functional requirement and write that requirement in the document known as SSD, supplementary support document. So later, I add both FRS and SSD to form SRS document and get the sign off from the client side. So basically SRS document is the first legal binding document to the client and the technical team. So once we prepare the SRS document, I going to prepare RTM, referring SRS document, requirement traceability matrix. So once the requirement analysis stage is completed, then I move on to the designing stage. So during the designing stage, our technical team will work on the high level design document, application design document, and solution document. So once the designing stage has been completed, then we move on to the coding stage. So during the coding stage, as a business analyst, I act as a SME to the developers. If they have any question, I will answer them. If it is required, I conduct chat session as well. So once the coding stage has been completed, then I move on to the testing stage. So during the testing stage, as a business analyst, I support the QA team to execute more test cases. And in the testing phase, we have a separate testers, and they will come up with so many test case documents along with the application with less error. So as a business analyst, I should prepare the client for UAT participation. And also, I request the client for scramble test data for pre-UAT purpose. So once the testing stage has been completed, then I take the sign off from the client using client project acceptance form. So once the testing stage has been completed, then that is development, implement and right, development and implementation, deployment and implementation. Sorry. So during the deployment stage, so as a business analyst, I'm the owner of RTM. So I should submit the RTM to my project manager so that he can attach in the project closure document, because sometimes client may ask the copy of RTM. So that time I should provide the copy of RTM to the project manager. So he will send that copy of the RTM to the client. So basically deployment is nothing but moving our code in the development environment to the production. That is deployment. Implementation is running our code in the production for the very first time. That is implementation. So this is what the entire SDLC process we are following.
Okay. Okay. Let's assume that at one time you failed to meet a project deadline. How did you
Okay.
overcome that situation?
Yeah. In my last company, I faced this kind of, I had one incident like this. For example, not example, give you the real time scenario. We oftenly miss the deadline because of slowness of the progress. So I suggested using the project management tool for everything, because using the project management tool, our work will be more organized and very faster. So I suggested that. So using that, we can add reminder to the particular requirement. We can get the templates of the particular requirement like that. So it will enhance the overall project efficiently, and we can meet the project deadline using this.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Okay. So, how do you handle the difficult stakeholders? How do you manage the team conflicts?
Okay, fine. So first of all, when I handling the stakeholders is very difficult task, because some of the stakeholder is a very good stakeholders, are a good mode stakeholders. Some stakeholders can be a difficult stakeholders. So gathering or working along with that stakeholders is very big task. So I use the conflict management system. So that is handling the conflict and organizations or institution disagreement between the organizations or the stakeholders. For that, we use conflict management system. So it is so in the conflict management system, we have Thomas Kilmann technique. So Thomas Kilmann technique is nothing but it is a graph. It has some boxes, like 4 to 5 boxes, that is talk about the particular person mindset. Like in the boxes are like avoid, accommodate, complete, compromise, and collaborative. So first, when I observe any conflict within the team or the stakeholders, first I should understand in the particular stakeholders where he is there in the particular graph. Either yeah, he is in the avoiding stage or complete stage, accommodate stage, or compromise stage. So our target area would be collaborative mode only. But if it is not possible, at least we have to bring them into the compromise mode as well. That's it.
Okay. Which two documents are closely related to use case?
Okay. Every use case is supported by one document. That is use case specifications document. Like in the use case specification document, we will have user story name, use case name, actor, preconditions, post conditions, basic flow, alternative flow, exceptional flow, input and outputs, dependencies, miscellaneous informations like that. So that is very close to use cases because every use case is supported by one document that is known as use case document. And other thing is I created the use case diagram. I'm not sure about the another document name. So could you please share me, sir? What is the another document is really very close to use case?
The BRD and FRD and system design document.
Yeah, it is all over the
Hmm.
requirement, you know.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's a basic one. Yeah, BRD, FRD, right there.
Like, yeah.
Yeah, but very close to user cases, use case document.
Hmm. Yeah. Okay.
Yes, sir. Do you have any other questions to ask?
Yeah. Yeah. So what is SRS? What are some of its fundamental elements?
Okay. SRS document is stands for System Requirement Specification, or also we call it a Software Requirement Specification. So in SRS, it's a classified into, or in SRS we have functional requirement and the non-functional requirement is divided into SRS document. So we can understand how the software should behave in order to achieve the business requirement and the stakeholder requirement that is given through the uh, this SRS document. So in the SRS document, we will find functional requirement and non-functional requirement. Functional requirement means functionality through which the business logic is achieved. That is functional requirement. And we will write the functional requirement in the system perspective. Non-functional requirement means like it is an external peripheral. For example, barcode, scanner. It is nothing but the external peripheral. External peripheral with the system along with the quality requirement that we call it as non-functional requirement. So non-functional requirement and functional requirement, both we call it as SRS document.
Okay. So what is your usual work plan while dealing with a project?
So basically, as a business analyst, what is my responsibilities falls around is client interactions, taking the ownership of the requirement, and do process re-engineering. So I will discuss the client like once the IT company will receive the project, it will assign to the project manager, and the project manager will hand over the project to me. Once I get the project information, then the first step is what I did is I call them the departments of the head, uh, stating to tell like we have received the project. Could you please help me to share the requirement to me? And they said, uh, I will arrange you one spot. special point of contact. Then the Spock will give you the Spock, and the Spock may said like we have this kind of process, how this kind of resources are working like that, and I request them for the few resources to give the requirement like around 10. That is not possible, the Spock will have a 700 resources. How could I go and ask the requirement from them? So I then request for the 10 resources to give the requirement, and he provide the 10 resources, and for that I will drive my conversation to gathering the requirement from them. This is how the approach I do, because every client interactions happen through business analyst only. So as a business analyst, I work in IT company along with the technical team. So we are the case of the team of the client. So every client communications will happen through business analyst only.
Mhm.
So
Okay.
I facilitate the communications between business stakeholders and technical team.
Hmm.
Hmm.
What is analytical reporting?
Sorry.
Analytical reporting.
So I think analytical report is nothing but the we will uh, analyze the data. So to analyzing the data, we will get the insights and recommendation. Using that, we can take the decision in the organization. So that is kind of analyzing the data. Using SQL, we can analyze the data. Tabula, we can analyze the data. We will get the insights and recommendations from the data. I think this is the analytical tool is called as Power BI and Tabula itself. So am I right, sir?
Yeah, yeah, fine, fine. What is meant by the benchmarking?
I do not have any idea about that, sir. Could you please provide the answer?
Mhm. So it's a process through the which enterprises measures the quality of their programs, policies, the products, and the rules against industry and enterprise standards. Okay.
Okay, okay, sir.
So this is useful for measuring that enterprise performance within the industry and evaluating the problems areas for uh, their room to improve.
Mm. Understood it, sir.
Got it now?
Yeah, I got it a little bit.
So what makes you different from the all the other business analyst candidates?
Okay. So as a business analyst at my last organization, I know how to put my client first without ever compromising our creative team or setting unrealistic expectation. So I believe my experience with tough clients and tight deadlines make me a perfect role for the particular role. So I'm excited to jump in the project and use my skills to make things easier to your creative team and more accessible to your stakeholder as well. So I believe this enable me to among the business analyst, I have the good exposure on client handling and the tough deadlines.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Mm.
Okay. So do you know difference between the issue and the risk?
Sorry, difference between the
Issue and the risk.
okay. Basically, to talk about the risk, for a business analyst, I have two kind of risk. One is BA risk and is process and process project risk. BA risk is nothing but whatever the activity I do as a business analyst, for example, requirement gathering, requirement analysis. If it is go wrong, then the risk will be happen. So risk is the perfect. It is a gap between the perfect work and our work that we call it as risk. So it can be an event which can slow down our process. Sometimes it causes failure. That is risk. Issues in the sense we have had a conflict within the team. Like in my last project, I had an issue with the development team and the business analyst over which features want to prioritize. So our task wants to find the very effective method to prioritize the feature, and like that is what our entire task, because it's save a lot of time and reduce the conflict and the error as well. So I suggested for MVP, minimum viable product. So it is nothing but what are the essential features that I want to deliver to the client, what the client would need immediately. Those features we call it as important features. And we prioritize these features using ranking methods like low, medium, high. So by applying this approach, it will help to quickly make decision, and it allows our team to focus on the most important task first. And it will improve overall the project efficiency and significantly reduce the issues as well. Am I right? Or what?
Yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah.
am I giving the exact example for issue?
Yeah. Throughout
What
your
is your
project,
perspective?
yeah, yeah. Throughout your project, what you have faced likewise as coming to this risk and issues likewise, you can explain that will be fine. As because of that differences likewise,
Okay.
that will be the more exception flow to do likewise without getting any conflicts on that differences, whatever the content likewise. Yeah, you
Yeah,
can explain that one also. Okay, fine, fine. Yeah, bro. Yeah. Thank you for your participation in this mock panel. Okay.
yes, thank you so much, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, could you please provide me the feedback for me? Do I need any improvement I need to make? What are the mistakes I made like that?
Not much more mistakes like this. Okay. Throughout your projects like this, BA contributions, you can prepare on that one also. Okay. And um, that's it. If I found anything
Yes,
like
so
this, I will get back to you. Okay.
yeah, okay, okay, so
Okay, Prem. Thank you. Bye.
yes, thank you.